Hey guys, welcome back to Teal House Farm. It is Tuesday, and if you've been around here, you know that Tuesdays is canning, pantry, cooking day. So we're gonna do a real simple recipe from the canning pantry. We're going to use some pints of sweet potatoes that we canned last year when we bought them when they were on super sale. I don't grow sweet potatoes. I could, it's just not something I have room for. I really wanted to grow in my garden because around Christmas and Thanksgiving, sweet potatoes get super cheap at the store. So you just buy them in bulk and I can them. And one of the easiest ways to use them is to make a nice sweet potato, like a mashed sweet potato with some cinnamon and some butter. It's really good and really simple. So we're gonna do that today. But I also wanted to show you in today's video how we use our lamb. So if you've been watching, you know we butchered our 2 lambs for the year. This is our second year raising sheep. And we're gonna use some ground lamb to make lamb patties, which is a real simple way to use up lamb meat in a real delicious and easy and quick recipe. And so we're gonna put this all together. If you have never had lamb before, this is a great recipe to try it on. Ground lamb is something that you can find sometimes in grocery stores. If you happen to live in an area that has more diversity, certain religious groups use lamb for their high holidays, and also lamb is more popular in like Eastern European recipes where they raise a lot of lamb and goat. So if you live anywhere where there's a large Jewish or Islamic or Eastern European population, you may find that you can occasionally find lamb in the grocery store, and a lot of times it's either ground lamb or it's leg of lamb. So if you want to try lamb before you commit to raising some on your homestead or in your backyard, because they don't need very much space, this is a great recipe to just try it on and get an idea of the taste. It's very similar to beef. You'll realize in the recipe that it looks a whole lot like a beef patty. So let's go ahead, we're gonna put all this together. Let me show you everything you need for each recipe. We are going to do 1 pound of ground lamb. We'll need 1 medium-sized onion, some salt, dried parsley, cumin, ground coriander. You need a cup of breadcrumbs. In this case, I don't have any breadcrumbs right now. We've been eating bread so fast, I haven't gotten it to go stale. So this is some rolled oats that I just sent through the blender for like 5-10 seconds so they weren't so chunky. And then we have minced garlic, and we also will need some flour, and you can use any type of flour in this recipe. It does not have to be gluten. So if you need this to be gluten-free, use the rolled oats instead of breadcrumbs, and then whatever kind of flour you normally use, we just use it to kind of dust the patties before cooking. We'll need a mixing bowl because we're gonna put this all as like a big burger, make little patties. For the sweet potatoes, we have 2 pints, so a quart's worth of sweet potatoes. We're gonna need a little bit of butter and a little bit of cinnamon, and that's it. With the sweet potatoes, I find when you mash them, they're a little bit more runny anyway than regular mashed potatoes, so you really don't have to add milk. So just a little bit of butter and cinnamon for flavoring. And then we have some fresh green beans just picked out of the garden that I've rinsed off, and we're gonna cook those also in the rest of the butter and put some seasoned salt on them. You are also gonna need some sort of grease to fry up the lamb patties. They're a little bit leaner than ground beef, unless you are already buying like pasture raised super lean ground beef. So it helps to put something in the pan. You can use olive oil, you can use butter. I prefer just to use bacon grease because it's free. It's already been saved from things we've already eaten. So bacon grease or tallow, which we save in the fridge. No reason to buy grease, and butter is expensive. We're gonna use a cast iron pan today, but whatever kind of skillet that you have will be just fine. So let's go ahead and let's start putting things together. First step, we're gonna get some pans on the stove. So I'm gonna use a cast iron pie plate for a pan for the green beans. I put in about 2 tablespoons of butter. The green beans have already been washed, so I'm just snapping off the blossom ends. I'm gonna cook them long. We're gonna add a lid on and cook them on medium-low so they don't sear on the bottom of the pan. Add some seasoned salt, and we're just gonna leave them alone and let them do their thing while we work on everything else. We're gonna need a pot for our sweet potatoes. We'll go ahead and pop open the jars. We're gonna drain all the liquid out. And then we're gonna go ahead and do these on medium-low as well. You're gonna be tempted to add some more liquid, don't do it. I decided to add a 3rd jar as well just because of the size of our family. I add about 2 tablespoons of butter and about a teaspoon of cinnamon, and we're just gonna let that cook low and slow until it's warmed all the way through, and then we'll mash it up. Lastly, we're gonna use our big 10-inch cast iron skillet for the lamb patties. We add about a tablespoon of bacon grease to the bottom to make sure there's plenty of grease to fry these up. Then we're going to cut open a pound of ground lamb. And to that we're going to add about a half onion to a whole small onion of diced onion. If you don't like onion chunks in your patties, you could just use a teaspoon worth of onion powder. We're going to add a cup of the powdered oatmeal. You could also use breadcrumbs, a couple cloves worth of minced garlic, and then a teaspoon of each of our spices. So we're using some coriander, some cumin, some parsley, and some salt. Then lastly, I almost forgot, you have to have 1 egg to hold your patties together. So we'll crack that in there. Our bacon grease is nice and melted and sizzly. We're going to mash this all together until it resembles like a meatloaf. And then we're going to go ahead and separate into different patties. 1 pound will make about 10 patties. We're going to make the patty shape about the size of your palm and then dredge it in flour on both sides and then put it in the hot oil. We're going to let them sizzle on each side for about 4 minutes. Our sweet potatoes are looking pretty good. Our green beans are looking pretty good. We're going to give those a little bit of a toss to make sure the bottom ones don't burn. And our patties look like they're about ready to be flipped. After 4 minutes on the flip side, they're ready to be served up. So grown-ups get 2 patties, some of the mashed sweet potatoes, and some green beans. Looking good and yummy and so awesome to have raised a lot of that ourselves. There you have it, pretty simple. One thing I did forget to mention, the original recipe calls for tomato sauce on top, a lot like you do on a meatloaf. Like you cook your little patties and you put a little tomato sauce, like just not spaghetti sauce, like just the unflavored tomato sauce on top. But I had these growing up. My mom used to make these, and we always dipped them in either ketchup or barbecue sauce. So that's still how I eat them. So it's kind of up to you. They do need some sort of sauce on top, I feel like, just to give them a little bit more moisture and a little bit of a flavor punch. So your choice, tomato sauce or ketchup or barbecue sauce. But other than that, they're delicious, they're simple and fast, and it's a great way to use up some ground lamb and also to try lamb out for yourself the first time to see how much you like it. Thanks so much for watching. As always, I'll try to put the written recipe in the description to make it easier for you to follow if you want to try to make these yourselves. We'll see you guys next time.